So when it comes to originality, I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves of like, I have to create something that's never been done before. You know, I have to create something that's incredibly new that no one's ever seen, and we really push ourselves to do that. I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing, but I think we can go too far with that. What's up everybody, Shekinah Tebby here, aka Shay, and you are watching episode 2 of The Creative Quest. So right off the bat, I want to say a huge thank you to those of you who have already subscribed to my channel and commented below on the very first video that I put out last week. Thank you so much. My friends and family, that was most of you, so thank you for your support. And if that first video really impacted you, share it with someone you know that may need to hear some of that stuff, or maybe might be in a similar place. But if you're watching this now and so far you kind of like what you're hearing and kind of the vibe, and you're curious about how this channel is going to progress, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you can be notified every time I release a brand new video every Thursday about creativity, the creative process, specifically revolving around music and building a music career. So if you're into that, you're going to want to subscribe. All right, so let's get to it. Episode 2 is all about originality. This is something that if you're in a creative craft like art or music, we talk about a lot. Is being original. We kind of obsess over it. It's also something that I think we're really afraid of, just in general as human beings, of not being original, not being someone that has purpose or meaning, or not being able to contribute something valuable to the world. It's something that really freaks us out. It really scares us. That's, I think, a good thing, because it drives us to be creative. It drives us to find meaning. It drives us to find purpose. But sometimes that fear can be paralyzing. It can actually completely paralyze our creativity. It can actually keep us from being creative. So honestly, we can even try too hard to be original. We can put originality as the end goal in itself, instead of just creating and being who we are and who we were made to be. The pursuit of originality can almost become a prison in itself that can trap us and suffocate our creativity. So in order to talk about originality, first we gotta lay down the foundation, the groundwork of what creativity really is. The bare bones definition of creativity is bringing something new into being. Creativity, according to Webster's dictionary, is the process of making. But creativity is so much more than that too. So creativity is a living, breathing thing. It's multi-layered, it's multifaceted. There's lots of different expressions, there's lots of different ways of thinking about it and experiencing it. So it is almost like a living organism in itself that we interact with all the time, and we don't even realize it. So when it comes to originality, I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves of I have to create something that's never been done before. You know, I have to create something that's incredibly new that no one's ever seen, and we really push ourselves to do that. I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing, to push ourselves to create something new that no one's ever heard before or seen before. I think that's a good drive to have, but I think we can go too far with that. I think we can actually try to push ourselves out of our humanity in a way we were never designed to. So for example, human beings, it's a given. We can't create something from nothing. We can't speak something into existence. We just don't have that ability. It's not part of our design. When we create, we have to take something that already exists and rearrange it into a new expression, a new interpretation. So in order to create as human beings, we have to have pre-existing material. We have to have something to work with. Like a painter has to have paint, he has to have a canvas, a sculptor has to have clay, a musician has to have scales, has to have notes. So, because I'm a musician, I'm going to be speaking from a musician's perspective. So in music, in Western music specifically, so we're going to deal with Western music here. So I know that Eastern music, there's a lot of notes and tones and frequencies that we don't use here in the West, so don't dog me on that, okay? So in Western music, we have the 12-note scale. We have 12 notes to choose from, and all these different combinations of these notes and patterns of these notes create different scales. Those different combinations create chords, and then chords, different combinations of chords create progressions, and different progressions put together create songs, etc., etc. But we only have 12 notes to work with. We can't just invent another frequency. We can't do that. The frequencies already exist, like the notes already exist, and we are in the process when we're creating, discovering those things that are already there and then rearranging them in our own way. So I think it's important to know in the process of creativity where we stand as humans and what is part of our design and what we can and cannot do. It's important to recognize our limits as human beings when it comes to creativity. We're not gods. We can't speak something into existence. We really have to take what's already there and create our new interpretation or expression of that. So now that we got that out of the way, now that we know where we stand as humans, well, I can't create anything original if everything out there already exists. Well, that's not really the point. That's not really what originality really is, I think. And so we're going to actually pull from this book that I've been reading, which is an incredible book called The Courage to Create by Rollo May. I think everybody should read this book, but if you're an artist or musician of any kind or in a creative craft of any kind, you definitely want to pick this up, definitely want to read it. It's incredible. It will change your life. At least I think so. It changed mine. All that to say, pick up The Courage to Create. I'm going to put the link in the description below. He talks about creativity being an encounter with something. So for example, there's two artists that are sitting in front of the same tree and they're looking at the exact same tree. They're sitting right next to each other. They're painting the exact same object. Well, if you think about it, each of these artists has their own life, their own experiences, their own pain, their own joy, their own memories that they are bringing to this tree. So they are encountering this tree through the lens of their unique experience. And the thing about human experience is, even though we can relate to each other, like each human experience is like a fingerprint, because our past, our present, and future, they're so multifaceted that nothing is identical. Each artist's experience already is original. And so they're interpreting their encounter with this tree through their own lens of experience. So when they paint, that expression of their encounter with the tree is coming out on the canvas. And even though they're looking at the very same object from almost the same position, their expression is going to be completely different because their being and their experience as a being on this earth is one of a kind. So when you can ground yourself in your own being and presence and your experience and your memories and your life, and you can really kind of stay true to who you are and where you've been and create out of that place, you're not going to have to try to be original. It will just happen. When we try and we try to force it to happen, we end up putting ourselves in a corner. We end up paralyzing ourselves. Paralysis by analysis, I like to call it. So I love this whole thing that Rollo May talks about in The Courage to Create, about creativity being an encounter. And so I want to read this quote. He says, "The greatness of a poem or a painting is not that it portrays the thing observed or experienced, but that it portrays the artist's or the poet's vision cued off by his encounter with the reality. Hence, the poem or the painting is unique, original, never to be duplicated. No matter how many times Monet returned to paint the cathedral at Rouen, each canvas was a new painting expressing a new vision." So even if you return to the same material, from a musician's perspective, even if we return to the same 12-note scale, even if we return to the same progressions, each time is going to be a different encounter because we're bringing new experience to that. We're bringing a new part of ourselves to that. As we're going through this life, this process of living and growing and maturing and encountering the world, we're being shaped by our environment. And so every time we come back to the same pre-existing material to create, we are coming as a new person. We're coming with new experience. Guys, this is just so exciting. When you realize this, the pressure just comes off your shoulders. You just feel so free. This brings so much freedom. Creativity should be free. We can create out of that new experience, tapping into yourself. And I think that as a culture, tapping into ourselves can be really, really difficult because we're always trying to escape ourselves. We're always trying to escape our head, escape our emotions because we're uncomfortable. And we live in a culture of comfort. We live in a culture of privilege. So we're trying to escape the very things that make us unique instead of moving through them in a healthy way through a process that actually nurtures our creativity and our ability to express that and connect with other people, connect with ourselves and the world around us. So all that to say, I hope that this encouraged you, some of you that may be in the creative process and may be frustrated. I know I'm in a place right now where I feel kind of stuck, just trying to find any source of inspiration I can, reading about creativity, listening to new music. If you have music out there that's really great, please put it in the comments because I'm looking to listen to some new stuff to kind of be inspired and have new encounters that can inspire some more creativity in my own work. If this episode spoke to you, encouraged you, or maybe it upset you, I don't know, but please leave me a comment below. I'd love to continue this conversation about originality. And for those of you that are in that place where you feel like you're not original, tap into your own life, tap into your experiences, tap into your memories. Bring your being, bring your life to the canvas, bring your life to the guitar, to your instrument, to whatever it is that you're using to produce creative work. Know that you are enough, that your life and your experience and your being is enough. It's like a fingerprint, and all you have to do is be and tap into that. So y'all, next week we're gonna have kind of a different episode. So we're gonna have a special guest. So stay tuned for that next Thursday right here on The Creative Quest. Go make stuff. Existing material. I think I just spit. Pre-existing material. I gotta find it. Hold on. I marked it and now it's gone. Okay, here it is. Is it Rollo or Rollo? I can never know. Somebody who knows philosophy, please tell me. Because I could be mispronouncing his name. Has to have. Why can't I say this?